absolute honor to introduce a very special guest, music industry professional John Lenac, who has over 30 years experience in helping artists grow their fan base and better monetize their original music. John currently is the COO of Rolling Live Studios, which is a virtual events and production company plus streaming network, and also the co-founder of Vibrant Energy, which is a health fitness platform focused on vegan lifestyle. Not to mention also the CEO and founder of Tech IT Media Group and Within Records, which helps to grow tech and media companies to enhance artists' careers. So among these day-to-day impacts, John has played a massive role in defining digital music space as a market leader while at Yahoo Music as head of programming and also artist and label relations. We are so excited to welcome John today, who also teaches online classes at Berkeley on music marketing, to give us a sneak peek into how we can help educate our students on how to release their original music, plus opportunities in the music industry that go beyond just being an artist itself. So John, thank you so much for being here, and really excited to dig in.
Thank you so much, Danielle. I appreciate you guys having me, and really want to thank everybody at Little Kids Rock for all the great work that you guys do. I've been involved with the organization for years and just absolutely love everything that you guys are doing in the agenda at hand. So we're going to cover a lot of things today. I'm going to do a screen share. We're going to cover a lot of things today, and many of them are really focused on answering these questions. On which platforms should you post your music and why? How should you market your music and where, and how do you build a following and drive monetization? And as I go through these questions and discuss best practices in digital marketing, please keep in mind that you really want to use the process of writing, recording, and editing as part of the marketing. Your fans don't want you to go to the creative process and not hear from you for months. They want to be a part of the process. So take them along on the journey as you write, record, and edit. And when you commit to releasing an EP or an album, the day that you decide you're going to do it, put a pre-sale link on sale on your website, share it on your socials, and start selling the release that you have no idea what it's going to sound like. You don't have any artwork or anything the same day that you start writing it. You can do a pre-sale for 6 months, a year. I've seen some people do them for even a couple years. And since you're probably going to be fulfilling the music yourself and shipping it out yourself, tell the fans that you're going to autograph every single piece of vinyl. And then when you get that vinyl manufactured and it comes in and you're ready to start shipping it to fans, take video of you signing it. So you're signing a piece of vinyl and you say, hey, this one's for you, Danielle. Thanks for buying my record. It's going to be in your mailbox in a week. Take that video, put it up on your socials. That'll drive more engagement. It'll drive more monetization, and it'll make some of the people that you called out feel great. Plus, when you're selling direct to fans and you're fulfilling, you're going to capture their snail mail address. And with that snail mail address, it's going to help you to route tours as things open up and you know where you're going to be going. So first question, on which platforms should you post your songs? Really, it's all of them. You know, you want to get music everywhere because you never know where the music fans are. Plus, there are so many different locations that they can all lead back into where you can monetize the most. And I'll get more into that in a second. But ultimately, all the music streaming DSPs, I'm going to say DSPs a few times today. That's referring to digital service providers like Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, but also entities like YouTube and SoundCloud and Bandcamp. YouTube pays the smallest amount of royalties, but they have a huge audience. So you have to cast a big wide net and put your music everywhere. You need to put it on YouTube, you need to put it on SoundCloud, and use those big, huge platforms of millions of music fans as a discovery engine to rope your fans and potential fans into your official site where you can monetize a lot better than most of the DSPs. So where and how should you market your music? I can't stress enough how important it is to have your own official site. You want to use WordPress, you want to use Wix, you want to use Squarespace. They're all cheap and easy. If you go specifically with a DSP that is for the music space like Bandzoogle, built just for musicians, so easy to set up and make, and you take control of your career instead of letting the big tech companies let your fans, potential fans, see your stuff, and you don't have to pay to get to them. You don't want to get edge ranked out, and you don't have that when you're using your website as the hub and spoke. So you have to have an official.com. Definitely make one, and make sure that on your site. You've got some best practices across the board that are also going to lend itself for better social engagement and roping people back in. So on your website, you want to have the same image that you have on your icons. So the same icon that you have on your Instagram, that you have on your Facebook, that you have on your YouTube, make sure that image is above the fold. When I say above the fold, I mean the fan doesn't have to scroll down to see the image. And if you're going to switch your icon on any of your socials because you've got something new coming out, just make sure that it's consistent. Every single time you switch an icon on your social, switch it on your website and vice versa. Make sure on your official website that you are collecting email addresses. Can't stress enough how important it is to collect email addresses. And put a follow me button on your homepage for Spotify. I mentioned Spotify because they've got the biggest market share for music consumers, and also you get paid on every single spin. It takes a lot of spins to get any kind of sizable money, but it does add up over time. When possible, definitely use landing pages for your social bios. A popular one that I like using is Linktree. Toned In is great. Found EE is great. I also like AmpLink, amplify.link, because it's got some real estate, so you can not only keystroke in some bio and some call to actions, but really simple to just put in the name of your artist and song, and it'll scrape the web and populate all the different play buttons for Deezer and Spotify and YouTube and things like that. So when you do any kind of post on your Instagram, you say link in bio, you don't have to change it all the time because you've got the one link for your link tree, and then you're just changing the links on your link tree. Definitely make sure that your official website is at the very top of your link tree at all times. And then whenever you make any kind of changes on your post, it's always going to be current. You don't have to worry about somebody clicking on a post 3 weeks ago and they go to the link in bio and it's just something that doesn't have any context. For Spotify, some of the best practices include making sure that you're using your artist.spotify.com access. And that connects you to the back end so you can upload a header image and have an image, a few different images and then gallery pictures. Make sure that you have an updated bio, and at least make sure and have a bio. Also doing that at artist.spotify.com. And have an artist pick. Every single day I see huge artists that are on major labels that have big digital marketing teams, and they don't have an artist pick. And an artist pick is the only place on Spotify that you can communicate directly with your fans. So make a playlist or add a song, add an album, use the integration they have with Songkick for concert dates. Keep in mind that Songkick allows you to include live stream dates as well, and put a little short message. You should always have one, even if you are working with an artist that hasn't released anything in a long time, or you haven't released anything in a long time. Always have an artist pick. Keep in mind that it automatically comes down after a couple of weeks, so either pay attention to it or set a calendar reminder so you can republish the existing one or do a new one. You always want to have a link to your socials and your about on Spotify as well. That's something also you do at artist.spotify.com. So you can link to your Twitter, your Facebook, and Instagram. If you have a Wikipedia, you can link to that as well. And you always want to recycle audiences between platforms. You never want to have a dead-end experience. If somebody is leaned in and they clicked on your about on your Spotify, give them more content and give them more locations to find out more about you. Definitely want to have some public playlists on Spotify. Things like artists that inspire you or things you'd like to play live. Pre-save link, I mentioned, that's something you do in the back end, making sure that people know that they can pre-save it. And that is also something when you're doing that on the back end of artist.spotify.com, you need to get that all set up a couple weeks in advance. You can pitch the editorial team at Spotify with your new song or your new EP, but you have to give them at least 7 days. And if you don't upload it through a TuneCore, a DistroKid, or one of the aggregators far enough in advance, it's not going to be ready in time for you to pitch them in that 7-day window. Some of the best practices for YouTube include on your banner, on the YouTube banner, you must have, in position number 1, a link to your official site, and then the DSP. So then go link to Spotify, your specific artist page on Apple Music, your Instagram, your Facebook, Bandcamp. I wouldn't go more than 5 or 6, but definitely have links on your YouTube channel to the rest of your business. And optimize each video that you post, making sure that you're leveraging all the backend tags, you're adding cards, you're adding call to actions, upload your logo for a watermark. If you have posted a bunch of videos already, you can still upload a logo. It'll put a watermark for people to subscribe on all your previous videos, and it'll also apply it for any new ones that you put up. Make some playlists to help drive spins and subscriptions, and make sure that your video descriptions all have hashtags in the description. If you don't feel comfortable putting them in the body of it, you can just do a bunch of carriage returns and put them at the very bottom. The hashtags are going to appear right below the video title, but more importantly, they're going to help drive discovery via the YouTube algorithm so more people can find out about you. And definitely want to have multiple clickable links in the video descriptions. When I say clickable, I mean you have to have the http://. If you just do the www dot, it's not going to be a clickable link. And so make sure it's clickable and try to have one of them above the more. When you look at a video description, you have to click more. Sure, some people might click that and get to your link, but if it's above that so they don't have to click more, it's going to drive more clicks. And then when you have your brand new video and you want to share it on socials, make it be position number 1 of a playlist. Don't just share the link for the video. So when you have your brand new video and you share the playlist link and your brand new video is in position number 1 of many of your videos, you are taking control of what your fans are going to see when that video ends. If you just share a link to just the video after the video ends, as you know, YouTube is going to have recommended videos, and those are probably not going to be ones that are coming from you. So instead of sharing just one URL for a video, share a URL for the whole playlist and put that new video in position number 1. Instagram best practices, the same as what I mentioned before regarding the same icon on all your socials. So same icon, all socials, and your website. And utilize that featured story position at the top of your profile. I'm not saying that you've got to do stories on a regular basis, but at least put up 3 or 4 stories and then feature them so they're using that real estate at the top of your Instagram page to go to your Spotify or to go to your official website and things like that. Definitely use hashtags as much as possible. You can use up to 30. What I like to do is do 2 or 3 editorial ones in the post that I refer to it as to keep the post clean. And then I'll do 5 dots. So period, carriage return, period, carriage return 5 times. That will create an ellipses on the post. And then I put all of the other of the 30 below it. So 2 or 3 in the post and then 27, 26 in below it. So when somebody is scrolling through their feed, they're not seeing 30 hashtags. You can also put them in the comment. There was a period of time that they stopped allowing the comment hashtags that you post on your post to have any kind of weight. But of course, they didn't tell anybody that. And I noticed it because I had a client whose engagement dropped severely one week. And I reached out to somebody at Instagram, confirmed it, and they since have changed that. But it's I'll mention a few websites that will help you to keep track of those big algorithm changes from the DSPs, because they're not beating their chest about making changes that affect all of us. And then once you have 10,000 followers, you can add custom links for story swipe ups. You just got to make sure that your account is a business account. Some of the best practices for Facebook, again, being redundant here, but it's so important, same icon as all the other socials, and use that landing page URL that I mentioned. So your Linktree URL or if your official site URL, make sure and put that in the description of all of your banner pictures and all of your icon pictures. Go to some of your favorite bands, click on their banner images and click on their icon images, and you'll see many of them have no description, and that is wasted real estate, but it also is a dead-end experience. And again, if a fan or potential fan has clicked on a banner image or icon image, give them another place to go to without them getting distracted and looking at something else. Make sure that if you have to put a link to a URL that's not a Facebook URL on a post, that you do not put it in the post. If you see posts that say link in comments, it's because Facebook is going to deprioritize any post that includes URL that goes off of Facebook, because they want all their users to stay on Facebook. So that URL that you want to go to buy merch or to go and go to a different website that's not Facebook, just put that in your post, link and comment. As soon as you make the post, go and the first comment, put that URL. It deprioritizes it, but nowhere near as much as if you put the URL inside of the post itself. There is and I'll make sure that Danielle and the team have all these URLs I'm talking about, but there's a URL that I use to test to see how the URL is going to render even inside the post, or you can set up a Facebook page and just not publish it as like a test page for you to see how things look without anybody seeing it. But there's a developer.facebook.com /tools / debug for the rendering situation I talked about. And always, 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 not just on Facebook, but on any of the big DSPs, publish directly to them. Do not post a YouTube link on Facebook. If you have a video and you want the world to see it on Facebook, you have to upload it on Facebook, because they're going to deprioritize even if you do link in comments. Anytime that you use the DSP's publishing tools and you directly upload pictures, you directly upload videos, you're going to get a lot more engagement. Even though Facebook owns Instagram, if you syndicate and you post on Instagram and you syndicate over to Facebook, they're still going to deprioritize it. And as much as I love Hootsuite and Buffer and some of these other third-party platforms to help schedule posts and things, those things also get deprioritized. So if you have the time, publish directly on each individual social media platform. And always have a pinned post. You have to think about 2 people that you always want to know about your stuff and be aware of when you're making your decisions for digital marketing. One is the first-time fan or potential fan, the first-time viewer of your website, of your social media account, and the person that is friends and family, super fan. They've been there since day one and they see every single post and they comment. And if you make the hardcore fan happy and you're focusing on that first-time viewer, everybody in between is going to fall into place. And I say that because no matter how many millions of fans you eventually get, you're always going to have that first-time viewer of your Facebook page. So make sure and have a pinned post. And that pinned post should basically be the most recent, biggest post. So they don't have to scroll down a whole bunch of posts to see, wow, look at this amazing video that they posted 3 weeks ago, because you pinned it. And then change it as you get newer, more recent posts. Twitter is much of the same thing. Twitter best practices is same icon as all the other socials, making sure that you've got a official website URL or your Linktree or other landing page URL in there. Can put a couple of hashtags in your bio. That helps out quite a bit. And also a pinned tweet, just same exact methodology and strategy for Facebook is for Twitter. Most recent big thing that you want to talk about, or it could be something from a year ago, which is big enough that you want it to represent for that first-time viewer of your Twitter page. And definitely use all these same concepts and best practices across all of your public-facing pages, your SoundCloud, your Bandcamp, your Patreon, if you have that, all of them. So how do you build the following? Question number 2. There are a few different ways. The hub and spoke I mentioned. The marketing funnel, which is something you always have to keep in mind, that you want to start off by raising awareness at the top of the funnel, and then you want to capture a permission-based contact information so you can directly talk to that potential fan or fan, and then how you're going to drive engagement towards the bottom of the funnel. And the very bottom of the funnel is monetization. How are you going to make the money? So some awareness tactics are in digital, clearly social media posts, we talked about that, the best use of hashtags, knowing that there is going to be activity going on that you want to latch on top of existing activity in the marketplace and put your agenda on top of that. That's called newsjacking. If you do it effectively, it's a great way to growth hack and get a lot of people fast. An example of that would be Record Store Day. 2 days out of the year is Record Store Day, end of April and the day after Thanksgiving. And those days are the biggest 2 days for the music space. So even if you don't have a vinyl that is going out into the marketplace, go to a record store, take pictures of you at the record store and put it on your socials and use that hashtag RSD 2021, RSD 2022, because there's going to be a ton of music fans that are all over that hashtag, and your agenda should surface on it. You can do Facebook boosted post and dark ads to raise awareness, and definitely think about building relationships and networking with playlist curators. You know, one of the best ways to get awareness out there is to get on some playlists. A lot of playlisters that drive most of the engagement aren't necessarily the staff at Spotify or Amazon Music. They are folks that have their own individual playlist, and it so happens that it's such a great playlist and they marketed it. They've got a couple 100,000 people that are following it. So you can reach out to these folks. Sometimes it takes a little bit of work, but you know, build a spreadsheet, a Google sheet, so you can collaborate with some other folks and just keep track of who's got what playlist and what is the best way to get a hold of them. Is it, from DMs on the socials? Have they put their website out there so you can go to the contact, or maybe their email address, or they've got collaborative playlists that you can add your songs to and then they can pick from. But definitely keep track of those, build those relationships, foster those relationships, and then reach out to those folks when you have new things to change or new releases to send out. And another thing you can do in real life space is show trades. I've seen this happen a lot, where a band in a nearby market that has more fans than you do a show trade. So there's a band that's 100, 200, 300 miles away that's got a much bigger fan base in that market, but they don't have any fans in your market. So you engage them, you slide into their DMs and say, hey, you guys want to come open up for us in a couple months? In exchange, we'll come open up for you, and you can get some of our fans and we get some of your fans, and then strategize with them on the best ways to make sure that you're maximizing on the show announcement, you're tagging each other, you're sharing assets, so that when you guys are doing your online marketing together, you've got consistency and best practices. So the next step down the funnel after awareness is acquisition. And this is acquiring a permission-based contact. By far, email is always the best. Definitely get those email addresses. If you haven't started collecting email addresses, start today. Get a free MailChimp.com account. It's free up to 2,000 people in your subscriber list. You can also get SMS or phone numbers via SMS. You don't have to give out your cell phone number in order to capture those. You can use Google Voice, voice.google.com. There's also some apps out there like the Burner app in order to be able to have people text you and leave voice messages without giving out your phone number. A social media follow is another acquisition point. And all of these have different conversion rates, but they definitely will get you connected with folks. You want that direct connection though, the email address and the SMS phone number is best. You can offer pre-release items in exchange for email address, MP3s, digital stickers, and in person, if somebody likes your page, you offer them something. Or you can, do some gamification where you can do a promo where if somebody comments on a post of yours and they tag 2 of their friends, and then those friends also like your page, then you can send them a free hat or something. And not only does that drive engagement online, but if you're fulfilling and you're sending that hat out to them, you've captured their physical address, which is going to help your data analysis of where your fans are located at, and you can filter them out when sending out emails, and as I mentioned before, in routing tours. The next step down in the funnel is the engagement. So this is where you're going to determine what content is sent out to the permission-based contacts and how it's optimized. Is it going to be via your socials? Is it going to be through your newsletter, live streams, Q&A sections? We talked about the artist pick on Spotify. Definitely want to always do that. Great way to drive engagement. When you have your email list constructed, you want to definitely bucket the emails based not just on geographic location, but also this concept that I'm going to talk about today a lot, called super fans. We want to send a different newsletter to super fans than to a casual fans. And super fans drive a big part of the music industry, because you don't have to have critical mass in order to have success in the industry. All you need to do is get really a couple hundred super fans, and anything that you fairly price and put in front of them, they're going to buy it and they're going to want more. I've seen it happen time and time again over the last 30 years. And I'll talk to you about some ways to identify super fans in a little bit. Invite your subscribers to learn one of your songs. You can have them upload these into YouTube and socials and tag you, and you can gamify and turn it into a contest to drive more engagement, drive more followers. Plus, when you do contests like that, your fans, they are leaned in. They not only uploaded stuff, but maybe the other fans have voted on it and they want to see what the results are. So they're paying attention more so than just a post that doesn't have any kind of payoff at the end. And definitely collect data. Run polls on your socials, asking your followers to choose between a different song for your next cover that you want to put on YouTube. And give them the opportunity to have their voice heard, and also gets the repeat visits like I talked about before, because they're anticipating the release of the video that they vote on, like, yes, they're going to cover my favorite song. And the bottom of the funnel, the monetization. This is where you are making the money. You can do it a variety of ways: selling personalized merch, CDs, t-shirts, coffee mugs, face mask, really simple to sell merchandise now with no money out of your pocket by using platforms like Redbubble. Redbubble, free account, upload an image, decide one of, they've got hundreds of different items that you can sell. It's not really a high margin business where you're going to make a lot of money on it, but you can instantly put merchandise on your .com and on your socials for sale, somewhat legitimizing you because now you have merch to sell, but you don't have any out of pocket, but you will use it as is a learning. So you have all these different items, and over time, you're going to see which items and which styles that your fans like to buy. So they like this particular kind of hoodie, and you sell a lot of those. So then take that off your Redbubble, get some manufactured yourself, put them in your garage, ship them out yourself, much higher margin business. But you find out about that because you've been selling them all along with a free platform like Redbubble. More monetization through live streams via the various platforms. You can live stream on your own website. You can live stream through Zoom and just set a price, use a plugin on your website. Of course, selling music and streaming royalties. And then keep in mind, as things get safer and things open up, doing house shows. I've seen a ton of bands make great money doing house shows. A friend of mine stopped doing traditional venues years ago because he enjoys the intimate experience of a house show. Plus, he sets it at a much higher price premium, and he doesn't have to market it because he picks out the people that are going to host it, and those people that are hosting it are responsible for the marketing of it. And then, of course, whenever you do any kind of house show or any opportunity that you can have a pass the hat or basket for donations, definitely keep that in mind, not just in real life, but on any kind of thing that you're doing. There's the opportunity for cashless tipping and donations. Make sure that you always have clear communication if you're using any of the other platforms and how people can get money to you. And even if you have to DIY and put your Venmo or your PayPal address on there, that's all good. Crowdfunding campaigns can drive a lot of monetization and engagement. And as I mentioned, just focus on the super fans. You can have a really successful career with just focusing on the super fans and not necessarily chasing critical mass. And then as you go, you're going to have a bunch of casual fans that you want to focus on. How do you convert them to becoming super fans? So how am I doing on timing here? Pretty good. Okay, I can talk about frequency. So a frequency and timing about your release date, your marketing dates, your social campaigns. If you're going to be releasing an EP or an album, I definitely wouldn't recommend you releasing it anytime mid-October or after. Every single day, 70,000 songs are released to the world, and all of the big labels save most of their biggest release for the end of the year, for the holiday shopping season. Plus, people are just busier at the end of the year, and it's hard to get into the mind share as an emerging artist then. So make sure that when you're rolling out your release, that you're utilizing all of the online tools, asking the fans to pre-save on Spotify, getting that pre-save link, and then the day before and the day of your release, especially the first few hours, so important to leverage friends and family. That is the time to not be shy. Slam your phone with text messages like crazy to everybody, because the algorithm on Spotify and the streaming DSPs, they prioritize based on new content, and that is granular at the hour level. So the first 4 hours that your music is available, which is midnight on the East Coast and 9 p.m. on the West Coast, is when their algorithm is seeing how much activity is there. Are people adding this song to their personal playlist? Are they sharing it? And you really want to drive that, because if their algorithms push it out into more folks and they put it into algorithmic playlists like Release Radar and Discover Weekly, you can go from having no fans to tens of thousands in no time at all, because you get on some of those big Spotify algorithm playlists. So make your street date an event. Lots and lots of noise about it. When it comes to frequency, I definitely would focus on releasing a single the first a month or so, and then maybe another month or two later releasing another single, and then a third one, and maybe even a fourth one before you release the whole album. Basically, you want to stretch out the engagement and create tent poles for the engagement for every single, instead of everything all at once and then it goes away. And for every single that you release on any of the DSPs, make sure that you've got a video component on YouTube. Ideally, you've got a lyric video, but even if you just have an image of cover art or an image of you stationary while your song plays, that's fine. You just want to keep in mind that there are just so many people on YouTube, and so much discovery happens on YouTube. You want to put it out there. so that you can drive people using that big wide net, roping them back into your official.com where you're always going to monetize the most and have the most control. So before we open it up to Q&A, there's a few more things I want to talk about when it comes to when you're naming your band, or if you're helping somebody else to name your band. There's three main things to focus on. Do a .com search. So look to see if the .com is available. Sure, there's a ton of .io and now there's a .music top level domain. Yep, you definitely want to have the .com and grab it. And if it's not available, adding official at the end of it. So your band name, official.com available, grab it. Do a free trademark search on uspto.gov. uspto.gov allows you to look and see if anybody has trademark that name you're looking to call your band in the music category. If they trademarked it in something outside of music and entertainment, it's not a problem because it's based on category. I'm not saying you should spend the money on the trademark, but you can do a free search so that when the time comes and it makes sense to spend the money for the trademark, you know that it's clear and you're good to go, and you've already spent some energy in building brand equity for the name of the band. And do a Google search. Look to see what else is out there that's got the same name, because you have to determine how much SEO work is needed. SEO is referring to search engine optimization. So when someone types in the name of your band, how many page results are they going to go through, or how far down the list before they're going to see what you're listed at? And then ideally, you also want to have the name of your band with the same social handle. So the @ or the facebook.com / that should all be the same. If it can't be the same, then you might want to consider going to a different one to have better digital marketing and getting people down the funnel. You can do that individually by going to them, but you can also use namecheck.com without the E in check to just put it in once, and it'll show you all the different URLs that are available, and if it's available on any of the socials. So metadata, so important when it comes to the monetization part of the funnel. Metadata is data about data, and the two parts of it that are important for the music space are the ISRC and the UPC. The ISRC is a unique 12-character alphanumeric digital fingerprint. It stays with the individual recorded track forever. So regardless of it changes ownership from you're an independent artist this year, next year you sign to RCA Records, and then 5 years from now you sign to Interscope Records, that ISRC is always going to stay with the track. And these are added either at the mastering stage or the encoding stage when you upload it through a digital aggregator like TuneCore or DistroKid. The UPC represents the entire digital or physical product as opposed to the individual digital track, and the UPC is the whole album. And there's a digital UPC and there is a physical UPC. So you'd have a different one for the release that goes up through the aggregators, and if you press final, there'll be two different ones. All right, why don't we open it up to some questions, Joe?
Yeah, John.
Hopefully I didn't talk too fast. The Midwest of me sometimes goes blah, blah, blah.
No, you're all good. That was a lot of great information. I think a lot of artists are just trying to figure out how do you get into the business, and like how do you get that brand awareness. So I think that was really comprehensive of how you could really get your name out there. I'm thinking about teachers in the classroom and students that are becoming songwriters. I think, well, we have our songwriting exhibition this spring, and there's a lot of like maybe middle school, maybe elementary school, and several high school songwriters. So you mentioned a lot of the different platforms that that they should be part of. I know I've seen a lot of students posting their work on SoundCloud, for instance. Have you found any specific platforms that help promote a lot of those pieces, or is it kind of they have to do a lot of the promotion themselves?
You really have to do a lot of it yourself, but really the determining factor of which one to focus on should be which one do I like to use the most. It's really difficult to convert from Instagram because you can't put a link in a post, but Instagram has got so much power and there's so many people on it. You have to be doing stuff on it. But if you love Twitter and you're on Twitter all the time, then focus a bunch of your energy on Twitter, because if it feels like work, then you're just not going to A, do it as often as you should, but B, not going to do it as effectively. Ultimately, we're in the entertainment space, and if you're not having fun what you're doing while you're marketing your craft, then you have to make a left turn and decide to do something else. And even if you construct the very best marketing plan as you go, it should be an agile execution. You're going to get learnings about which things work better than others and adjust the marketing plan accordingly. And the things that were beneficial and that did well, replicate that and do more of it. And the stuff that didn't do so well, just flush it down the toilet and don't do that anymore.
Would you say that people should be posting like pretty frequently? Would you do full songs? Would you do just snippets of things as they come out?
Definitely want to reserve the full songs for the traditional DSPs like Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube, and the snippets on Facebook and the other ones. I've seen a lot of success with people doing lyric videos on Facebook, and part of the reason is I worked with somebody that went from literally no spins and fans to 6 million spins via Facebook dark ads and promoted posts. And the main reason was it was really good content, but every single time we posted it, we asked people to share. And lures, thousands and thousands of shares for every single video. And that is just, it's the gift that keeps on giving because the algorithm sees that. And not only does it go to more people, but the algorithm's like, okay, people are sharing this. I need to put it out to more people. So it really is about the DSP, and all of them have artist tools. They didn't used to, every single one of them has got artist tools that you can get in. SoundCloud's got amazing artist tools that they didn't used to have 5 years ago for you as a creator to leverage and do certain things with.
So I'm thinking, and you mentioned about just the work and getting the work out there. I know a lot of teachers have a lot of questions about copyright and copyright material. So say the student, they submitted to the songwriting exhibition this year, they actually like, hey, I want to take this, I'm going to do something with it. Where are areas, or where should we be directing them to make sure that they have the copyright?
So the most important thing is to record it because that's its own copyright into itself, is documentation of it. There's, the poor man's copyright where you record it and you mail it to yourself and you just don't open it. But you definitely want to go to copyright.gov and register it officially. It's a process. It's going to take like 4 to 5 months, but you definitely want to do that for every single master that you record, master meaning the recorded song. And definitely also register with one of the PROs, a performance right organization. The performance right organizations in North America, the big ones are ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC, and they all have a nominal fee to join. And then after that, they're responsible to help you collect royalties globally.
So you mentioned all the different ways that you want to get the word out there and get that brand awareness. Do you have any specific like artists that you have found through the years, like that have had amazing marketing campaigns to either do a release or an upcoming tour? Do you have any examples of that?
Yeah, I would say there is one artist I think that does it really phenomenal, and that is Youngblood. I've really gotten into his music a lot recently, and the main reason is not the sonic nature. It's because he is so authentic, and authenticity is by far the most important aspect of building brand equity and galvanizing a loyal fan base to become super fans. I worked with him recently. I helped to produce an event to celebrate the life of David Bowie. And during that event, he did a David Bowie cover along with many other big, huge stars. And that was content marketing. And one of the employees of NASA saw it, and they reached out to us and said, hey, what do you think about doing a promotion for us? We're doing this Mars rover landing coming up. What do you think about using that music? And we worked with Youngblood and his management and NASA. And so 50 million people the day that we landed on Mars heard that song from our event. And that's, a great example of content marketing and ticking all the boxes. Somebody else that does really great best practices in socials I recommend checking out is the global head of rock at Spotify, Alison Hagendorf. Her Instagram is massive, and it's because she works it, and it takes a lot of time, either from you yourself or if you end up working with a digital team. It just takes a lot of time. And the most important aspect of digital marketing is focus on your craft. Every single semester when I start my Berkeley class, I start off by saying, hey, I know this is a marketing class, but focus on your craft. spend more time writing songs, spend more time with your band in your lockout woodshedding, because you can have a million followers, but if the content and the songs aren't there, then it's only going to do so much. But if you focus on your craft and you create better songs, then it's that much easier to get traction with all your social media efforts.
So I'm thinking about, I guess, like the social networks, and I guess again, starting. Would you recommend young artists trying to focus on their image and like their brand, or focusing on their work first? Because I think I see, I guess like artists like Billie Eilish, and that have like kind of come out from making a lot of their songs from their bedroom, and you're kind of a lot of the fans have kind of like been there from the beginning. But so like I think a lot of kids like Jacob Collier or all the other ones that are trying to just have the like a following from their bedroom, and grow big. Would you is that an easier route, would you say, to take, or would you just say, hey, I wrote a song, put it out there? Is there any like right way to do that?
Literally, there is no right way other than focus on great. If you're a brand new artist and you're in I haven't quite figured out what my vibe is yet, I'd recommend doing a land grab to get your .com and your socials captured so nobody else can take them. But don't worry about publishing onto them until you've got your stuff dialed in, at least, a song or two. Um, don't don't chase the deal, chase the fans. So many artists are focused on getting signed, and they just are like, how could I get the music industry to pay attention to me? Create your own music industry by having fans. Look at Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper built this massive career, and of course, he licenses his music to a major label, but he still controls all of his digital revenue. So because he built a fan base using Ditto, the aggregator Ditto, he made like $8 million last year just from his Ditto account, and he had to account to the label. So yeah, chase the fans, and those deals from a booking agent, a record label, a big management company, a publishing company, they're going to come your way. But don't chase those deals, because if you focus on that and you negotiate before it's time, you're not going to have the leverage that you need to get the right kind of terms. And many of those deals are incredibly egregious. There's a lot of sharks in the music industry, as you know.
Yeah, totally. So I kind of want to turn it back to you. Like when you first got into the industry, I guess thinking about like your first few years, is there anything that you know now that you wish you knew? I don't know, when you first started getting into this.
There's a whole lot, but I would say the thing that I wish that I would have done that I didn't do back in the early 90s was capturing phone numbers and email addresses of artists that I worked with. I was young in the industry and I wasn't thinking about where things were going. And nowadays, so much great business is done by people texting each other. And back then, I was relying on the record labels and the managers for all the communication with the artists for the most part. And I do my best work when dealing directly with artists. And if you have the direct dealings with artists, just keep in mind that you want to keep their team, their handlers in the loop, and respect their domains. But yeah, I wish, I should have thousands of artists' phone numbers on my phone, and I've got hundreds.
I feel like that's a at least a trend that I noticed on TikTok, that there's like kids that are putting out pieces like new pieces of music, and then they have that duet feature, and then potentially artists like Lizzo or even another like young artist that is trying to do songwriting, that do that collaboration. So having that networking piece is huge. Do you have any like lists of like do's and don'ts as you're trying to get that networking? You don't want to come on too strong, but you do want to be a little bit more natural. Do you have any tips on doing that networking?
Yeah, networking is so important. And part of it is because you just never know when it's going to come into play. A friend of mine has a VR gaming company, and he'd been trying to get big music artists for years to license music for it. And he asked me, he's like, can you help me out? I'm like, who do you want? He's like, dude, we want Muse. I'm like, well, Muse is, managed by some friends of mine. So let me call him up. And, a few weeks later, got the license in place. And now they're watching a video of the band playing their video game on the lead singer's Instagram account. I always, when I've worked with artists, told artists to engage other artists that they love. And when they go to their shows, wait for them at the merch table, wait for them by the tour bus, and befriend bigger artists that are of the like sound, because you can have the best manager and booking agent and record label in the world, but if the lead singer of a big band says, hey, you guys want to go on the road with us, that's so much more valuable. And I've seen that happen dozens of times over the years. And it's tough, it's tough when you're first starting out to get a big booking agent or a big manager's attention and them wanting to work with you because you're not making enough revenue for it to justify their time spent. So, and some of that networking too comes from what people call social media platforms. I use LinkedIn as a Rolodex more than I do for social media because I've got my various Rolodexes and contacts, but I can't keep track of what everybody does. So if all of a sudden I need to start working with Nike and I don't know anybody that works in Nike, I go to LinkedIn like, wow, look at this. Two of my buddies, that I've done a lot of business with are now at Nike. Shoot them a note and be like, hey, let's do some business together. So
Totally.
don't poo-poo LinkedIn because people think it's an old man's thing because it is literally one of the best Rolodexes out there.
And by the way, if there are any students watching, a Rolodex is your contacts on your phone. So make sure you know what that is.
Rolodex.
There it is. So I know for me as a teacher, as a former teacher, I love resources. So I feel like a lot of the industry standard is the Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business book, the Passman book. Actually, since I'm taking the Berkeley marketing course, I actually have that book. Do you have any other resources that you think might be super helpful for, again, really startup artists or teachers just trying to give resources to their students?
I love the Passman book. I read it long time ago. I know Donald and his son, and fantastic book. The great thing about his book is that he keeps iterating on it. He keeps releasing new versions to stay on top of new technologies because laws change, technologies come, and you definitely buy the most recent version of his book and not a previous. The previous ones are great, but things change. But also, I definitely recommend some websites. I'm going to put a few in the chat window here to help out, and they are hypebot.com, Music Ally, and also musically.com and also musicbusinessworldwide.com. They all have fantastic information and new information as it comes. And unlike a book that gets published, a new version of it gets published once every couple of years, this is new information daily.
Yeah, that's great. I think like just getting like a reference point, because I think there's just so many things that you could be doing and you think you're doing it right, and just like getting that campaign going. So thinking of just campaigns again, from your career, can you think of any marketing campaigns that you were part of specifically that like was probably your favorite, and why?
So I did a hootenanny with Weezer. I was part of the team that helped to conceptualize and execute what today is still the biggest content ad streaming deal with Nissan. It was called Nissan Live Sets, booked and shot dozens and dozens of the biggest artists in all genres. And when we booked Weezer, management said, hey, can we do a hootenanny? And we're like, whatever Rivers and the guys want. And so we had a studio on the Fox lot that was built specifically for this experience. We would put 300 super fans in it. Some of our competitors were using central casting and like actors, and we worked with the managers and the labels to make sure that not only are the super fans going to be there because it's a phenomenal private experience, basically a TV taping, but also they're all on camera. So we had 300 people in front of the stage and then about 20 people behind the stage. So no matter where the camera was pointed, you're going to see fans rocking out while the band is playing. But Weezer wanted to get the fans involved. So they spent about 5 hours doing pre-production with the fans. So instead of being on the stage, they set up 4 podiums down on the floor where the fans normally are. And then all 300 fans are surrounded. But in order to be down there, you had to bring an instrument. And Rivers and the guys spent hours upon hours, like working with, like, okay, we're gonna do this song now. Who's got the glockenspiel? Because we need the glockenspiel for this. And he was just magic. And a friend of mine put this on his Vimeo account. I want to share it because it is so good. And this intimacy that was created and this involvement with them, it was all part of content marketing. This was something that the record label used it to market the new album. The band, of course, got a lot more engagement than if they wouldn't have done something like that. And it was something that made the label, the manager, Nissan, of course, Yahoo, and all of us happy. But most importantly, it created this magical experience. They then replicated it. So on the next tour, they did a hootenanny in every single city in America that they stopped at. So, and
That's
I say content marketing, and think of it like Red Bull. Red Bull does
mm,
all these things that looks like it's just like a great consumer experience for entertainment, but ultimately it's all marketing because the branding is all over the place.
yeah, totally. So how long do these like marketing campaigns take to plan out? Because usually they're like pretty involved with different platforms, different networks, radio, media, you know what I mean? So how long does it typically take to plan one?
You know what? It's something that's an ongoing situation because ultimately, as a gatekeeper, you need to work with the various entities that are releasing music and the artists to know what is going on 365 days out of the year, not just for new content, but for some of that newsjacking, because all of a sudden it's the 30-year anniversary of Nirvana Nevermind. So as a gatekeeper, you have to do something because you know people are going to be celebrating, but you have to plan it in advance. So having a content calendar as a gatekeeper is just as important as a creator, because like record store day, you might want to do something around the Grammys, around back to school, or around Christmas holiday. And knowing about those things and planning in advance is something that you should always have, basically tent poles and anchors. You can do reactive programming because something happens in the marketplace. You're like, wow, that's crazy what's going on. I'm going to do some stuff, it's going to be part of the hashtag Black Lives Matter. That's not something that, you can predict. But when it does happen, if if you like, you can put your agenda naturally on something that doesn't look like marketing, get your voice out there, then you can use newsjacking as a great way. But in answer to your question, sometimes you can like bust a move and somebody's like, here's this opportunity, can we have this live in 72 hours, and you just figure a way to do it. But a lot of stuff is literally a year in the works.
So I can imagine, and I think this might be the last question for the night, but um, the last year with COVID has kind of like halted a lot of music industry with live performances kind of going away. It has kind of like shifted people to being obviously on their computers more. So I wonder if more artists had to be more creative about getting that revenue through their online engagement. Now that we're like slowly peaking out, and hopefully soon, I saw my notification that Wrigley Field is going to start having outdoor concerts again in late July. So I'm really looking forward to that. But as we're looking to the future, where do you see any changes? Is there anything that we've learned in the past year because of COVID that might be incorporated moving forward?
I think you're going to see, even when we have touring fully back and people doing big festivals again, you're still going to see people leveraging online experiences for scalability. I've been doing a tremendous amount of live streaming concerts and fundraisers, and I've seen every single artist that we've done a live streaming event for, and then an after party VIP Zoom, which is a higher monetized for the super fans. Every single artist has come back and said, when I'm on a tour bus, when I'm in a hotel room, when I'm touring again, I'm still going to only do after parties this way, because I've been to, in the last 30 years, so many backstage experiences at Staples or the Palladium, and it's just awkward. It's not a great experience as a fan, and then it pops your bubble because it's like, this, I've been wanting to meet this person my whole life, and this was a really awkward, weird experience, and it's weird for the artist as well. And there's something to be said for this screen and this camera just disarming us, because you're right there, and we've never met in person, but you're my bro now. I feel like I know you. And that normalization and making the experience is really only 10% of it. The other part of it is the scalability. So instead of a club only being able to sell 500 tickets a night, they can sell 500,000, because it's really about cameras and internet. And the marriage of in real life concerts where we're all in the same room sweating and rocking to our favorite band, and you don't know that person, but now you're part of the same tribe, because it could be completely opposite ends of the spectrum politically, but we're rocking out to the same band, like we're friends now. And the ability to take a great experience to people that could otherwise do it, because of geographic location. You can live in Malaysia and be watching the last 25 years of Coachella and wish I can go to Coachella, but I can't afford to go to Coachella. But guess what? Next year, Coachella is going to be streamed. All the big concerts are going to be streamed. I mean, Coachella is streamed on YouTube, but it's not monetized.
Totally. I think you touched on a point that like it's just really core to Little Kids Rock and the organization, just like the connectivity of music and just being able to be across the country, be different, have different experiences, different backgrounds. So yeah, really thank you for bringing that up. It looks like it's actually at the end of the time here. So I really want to thank you for being here and taking the time. Thank you for everyone that have come and joined us tonight. If there are any other questions, feel free to send them over to program@littlekidsrock.org, and then we'll be able to try to get those answers for you from John. You could also tag at John Lenac if you want to get any questions from there. And also, thank you for being part of our songwriting exhibition. So one of the prizes for a few lucky winners, John is going to do some intimate one-on-one time to talk about if they want to take their original song to the next level. So again, thank you, John, for doing that. I think that is it for now. For those that are interested, we actually have our benefit on April 14th. Make sure to check your weekly resource email this week to learn about it. But other than that, thank you all and good night. Anything you want to say before we go, John?
I just want to say thank you, Joe. Thank you, Danielle, everybody, Little Kids Rock. I appreciate everything that you're doing. I'm so looking forward to be a part of the songwriting exhibition. And yeah, let's keep on keeping on. We got this, people. We're all in this together.
We got it. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.